Peter, how important do you think it is for us to bring men into not only the conversation, but the work around empowering women globally and bringing them into world economy?
Most definitely. I think that's, I joke about the fact that if we keep educating women and micro-lending and all this, we'll end up with a bunch of dumb, poor men. But, the truth is somewhere in there where, the men are, we're all in this together. It's a key component to that. And the men seem to, so far in the programs we've been doing and the experiences I've had talking to the men, eat this up. I mean, they don't want to live in the power dynamic really any more than women do once they see what it unlocks in both genders. When you empower essentially both genders. It really shifts everything.
Yeah, there was a great part in Jane Fonda's book. Well, I mentioned Jane previously as being an influencer to me, but there's a great part in her book where she talks about going with Turner Foundation and UN Foundation. I believe it was in North Africa, to one of the communities that's built on the edge of a garbage dump, and how when the women became empowered and part of the sort of economic community there, that the boys began to become educated as well, if I'm remembering the story accurately. And that concept of you educate a woman, then you also are not only educating her daughters, but also her sons, was first put in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to remind everyone that only a girl will be the mother of every child. So, when you do support the girl, you're supporting girls and boys ultimately.
Yeah. So that kind of moves us into the work of Girl Effect, too, which is a pretty powerful and great campaign. And the video that became so viral, I've found when I first started doing this work, and then found out that it was Nike Foundation and Novo Foundation that was behind it. How did that come about?
Well, that really came about by, you got to walk the talk, right? So part of the whole shift we're hoping is collaboration and partnership and, and essentially working together. And so when we were out there looking around, Jennifer and I, for like-minded people, we found Maria at the Nike Foundation, and we started talking, and it was the classic, why should we start at zero if you guys are already, moving down the road pretty quickly? Let's work together. And it was highly unusual for a private foundation and a corporate foundation to work together in the way that we did. But we figured, well, that's sort of why we're here, to do things that might be a little unusual but are to a greater good and greater effect. And so we really, through all sorts of machinations of making it work on the logistical side, once we were able to do that, we just dove right in and said, again, why start from scratch? Here you're doing great work. And at the same time, we didn't want to just be a funder of them. We wanted to be a partner. And that takes a little more work. A partnership in any form is, more complicated than just say, sitting quietly by while somebody else does everything. I mean, whether it's a marriage or a partnership like we have with Nike, we really wanted to dig in. In fact, Jennifer right now is in Liberia with some Nike Foundation people, so they can learn together about what's working and what isn't. So, fundamentally it started from, wow, you are here with the same view we are, and you have got great resources and potential. Let's dive in together and make this thing happen.
There seems to be, and this is a great example of a partnership between a corporation and a foundation. There seems to be kind of an evolution that's occurring with corporate social responsibility as companies are ceasing a view of philanthropy in the traditional sense and maybe moving more into the role of conscious capitalism, which would be to solve social and environmental issues that intersect with their business as a function of their work. Is that kind of what you're seeing here?
Yes and no. It's interesting. First of all, I think that point is absolutely right. I think it's fantastic when businesses start to see not philanthropy or foundation work as an add-on and it's something they should do because it's the right thing, or because everyone else is doing it, but do it because it's core to how they want to see their business grow and the world develop. So in other words, they look at in their supply chain or their the way they treat their workers or whatever it might be. They look at values, core values, and want to make sure they work throughout the system. And so to see that and to see core competencies at work. So in other words, let's say some telephone company, Verizon. I'm just using an example. I have no idea what the truth is, but we'll use them as an example. They might at one point have a foundation that supported the arts or supported something in the community, but now they realize, wait a minute, our core competency is cell service or whatever. Let's use that in a philanthropic way to build out infrastructure in a developing country or something. And the more you see that, the more you're going to see, again, super efficient use of, what the company's good at anyway, helping people that need it, or, helping to start businesses or whatever it might be. So that is really great to see, where businesses start to see it as a part of their thinking across what they do best anyway. And then I forgot what you asked, and I was saying not necessarily. What was the other part?
Well, let's see. I was saying that corporate social responsibility kind of is shifting into a more conscious capitalism, and I kind of borrow that from John Mackey with Whole Foods. But the concept of conscious capitalism being where solving social and environmental issues is a nature of being in business, is part of our mission, as opposed to, like we said before, philanthropy is a tag-on, add-on, end of the day when the balance sheet is done, initiative.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I think I answered it actually.
Yeah. I think so too. And to me, that's the true nature of the phrase sustainability, which is to say, we need to sustain the growth of our business long term. What kind of world is going to best foster that growth?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. And I guess the point I was going to make that was in terms of Nike, what I actually like about what Nike's doing is they're almost, and I believe this is conscious, that they are not doing a lot of their Girl Effect work, the foundation work, in places where they're doing their manufacturing. So they don't want to be looked at as just doing this to make themselves look better in the places they're working already. They have a separate CSR component, corporate, social responsibility component, that does look at those things inside the corporation. But they want the foundation to really be doing what's best for the foundation, not as some mandate that the corporation, is setting on them. So I think that's also fantastic, that they're separating it out and saying, foundation people, use your Nike brains, because we've trained you to look at things a certain way for what the foundation sees as the best thing. We will, as a corporation, use our CSR, Nike brains to do what the corporation thinks is best. So that's pretty highly evolved, actually. It's pretty great to see.
Yeah, and it ensures a level of purity in both missions, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is, I think, really impressive.